say hello and then I'd forget. Hello. So we're at a workshop in Kilkenzie. This is day 2, and I'm doing a demonstration of this setup of a pink flowery vase with lupins and all the rest of it inside. So you're very welcome. This is Anya Devine. I'm supposed to say that at the start of everything. Okay, so yeah, that was nice this morning, getting a bit of a wake up. And it wasn't in full, it was nearly. But clean water, like very clean. Okay, so I thought what I'd do to begin with here now would be to use, I wanted to get something for the green. Like yesterday when the orange vase was up there was a darker green foliage. And then I turned around and you were all using the lime green. I thought, oh yeah, that's a very different, it's a shade of green. The tulips have a more lime green quality to them. And then I thought the quickest way of getting there, and because of the seam, I usually like to put a bit of collage over the seam to kind of make it connect early on. Yes, stick it together. Make it connect early on, you know. But to stick it together more surely, yeah. So I'm going to put some PVA glue on there now, and I think I just used, it's like a page out of a gardening magazine, and there's more there, you know. I should maybe not have used my paintbrush for the glue, but anyway. Okay, so what are we going to do? I think just like that, really. Might get another little corner of this one. That looks to me to be a bit more lime greeny kind of colour. Just stick it on there. Okay. Alright, and I reckon I might end up having a tulip over the edge again now, like yesterday. We'll see. And that'll just connect those two together there. Okay, now what about next thing? I think I want to do I found this pink after, you know, yesterday. I found a couple of pinks. Sorry.
Oh, yes.
To those of you who were working on pink yesterday.
Trying to get that colour.
It was in the box all the time. Okay, so I think the next thing would be those stocks. I just want to put those in fairly. Oh, sugar. You might notice, sorry, excuse me, you might notice that there's spray on the ground where there was any little marks yesterday, because it's magic, it takes it off, no bother. So that's why there's little patches of wet, but the ceiling is a different matter. I can't really leave anything wet on the ceiling. Okay, but yeah, and regularly standing back is a really great thing to do, because it'll let you keep it all moving. You'll know where you want to go next. Okay, and what I want to do next is to bring a little bit of fluidity into I want to lift off a bit of that because it feels a little bit heavy. I feel like the see-through is more like the colour I'm aiming for there than the thicker pink was. Okay. And then I might just do the little bit of wiping away. This is actually the back of the paper now that I'm using today. So yesterday I used the more woven side, and today I'm using the back of the paper just for a bit of variety. Okay, now, and I want to kind of leave that, well, I want to leave it alone, but I'm looking at the other stock over the back there, and I feel like I want to give that a kind of a watery thing as well. Just a couple of little watery bits. I'm not going to fit that lupin in, am I? Unless I stick it up over the top.
Maybe it's a dwarf lupin.
I could extend it.
Absolutely.
No matter how big the paper, you always need to go over the edge, no matter how big the paper. So there'll be a lupin up there. I need to go to the higher ceiling side of the room, and then there'll be tulip going down that side, for God's sake. Okay, so then, what did I do now next? Yes, so what I'm going to do next is do the tabletop. And I know that some of you will have a corner facing, like yesterday you had a corner facing you, Chris, and other people will have had as well. You won't because you've got a circular table today. But if you wanted to, you can ignore the fact that it's a corner if you want to, but you could just put down, I'll finish my sentence now first. Like, sometimes when you're painting the tabletop, you just want it to be a simple colour and a horizon line. And you don't want to have to be negotiating corners. And you're not all going to have a straight line to see, but you can just put a straight line in. If you know, obviously, you're in charge. You don't want things distracting too much, I suppose. That's going to take up time, you know. Or it might be, yeah, you'll see. I often think the quickest way of doing a thing is often the most satisfying too. So that's it. Quickest way is most satisfying too, I think. Now, I set myself up a bit more in a more organised fashion. It mightn't look like it, but it is more organised. I know where things are, and I kind of want everything that I've got here to be here. Okay. Sorry, I'm a bit nervous about that because it's got glue in it, and I don't want it to get all. I don't want it to go all hard, so I'll just leave it sitting there. Alright, so the tabletop has got this bottle green. So I'm going to start with ultramarine blue, and I'll mix that with, that's actually sap green. What you could do is you could hold up the paper and see the colour you're aiming for as you're making it. Even putting it right up to the edge and closing one eye and looking at the colour against the colour you're making would allow you to really gauge it. And the reason I decided to do the tabletop before the vase is because the vase is sitting on top of the tabletop, obviously, and it's going to overlap. And I thought that I could do that with collage, maybe, sorry. I'm going to splash you there. Okay. And really putting a lot of water on can sometimes be a lovely way to get the runs and drips. So the 3-inch brush across there, and then it'll cause runs to happen. Of course, it's going to be very wet now if I want to stick on anything for that job. But maybe instead of going onto the jug, I might just go upwards. And go up the way. No, I know I can't really. In the wrong direction. I can't really squeeze it all in, but I'm going to try. The funny thing about, remember one year we ended up with a pile of and people were kind of inside of it, like
That
was all over the floor.
Really.
That was quite a good cheer, yeah.
We need to get an easel for him.
And I was there containing everything in the bag.
And the runs.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And you kind of wouldn't want to be too long either, messing around, you know, looking for stuff. But the thing is, when you put something down that's kind of nondescript, you then have something to react to respond to, and you can end up making it thinking outside the box. Then, you know, to try and bring it back into some sort of coherence again. I like the idea of that as the vase. I think there's something. It's just okay, isn't it? It's okay to just do that because my hands are all wet. Okay. Oh, we take off the masking tape. That might be quite nice there.
That is nice, yes.
Maybe.
glue on there.
It might come off again because there might be too much going on, but I'm going to go with it for now. Alright, and then sure the handle might be there, but the thing is, like, later on I can redraw and bring things back in and clarify things. It's the wild goose kind of stage where I want things to be on the edge of not being able to make it work. So it's like you're making it just chaotic enough that it's exciting and you might be able to pull it back. That's the feeling I've got anyway today. It might not be the same every day. So what I was originally looking for there was something for that lupin. But I decided to abandon that ship for a minute and instead work by bringing some paint in, because I think I've enough of that collage now, like, and I want to bring some paint in so that we get back into some, that thing of creating order. I think will happen if I put on, for example, those daisies. That's why I got the clean water, because I don't want to be bringing bright daisy. Well, the daisies are a white shape there, and they might eventually be toned down, but to create the connection between the foliage and the jug, I want to paint those daisy shapes in with clarity. So that's why I'm just using the white. Okay. And there's one there too. Just to kind of give a feel for something else. My goodness. Okay. Alright, and when I've got the back with the paint, now I'm going to use the green to make a bit more of those leaves as well. And it's a very good idea to take a step back regularly. I think that was a bit premature putting that on. I'll have a pattern underneath as well. I mean, I might put it back on later on, but for now I'm just going to take it off and put some green paint on there, because it kind of felt like it was diluting. There's enough happening here, I think.
So turn this off, will you?
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I wanted to see what would happen when I put something over that torn, because it's got different textures underneath them. Okay. Oh, and we could maybe wipe away some of that as it dries. Remember what we were doing yesterday?
Yeah.
You know, when the acrylic has a splash on it, and if you wipe it away, it can have a lovely texture depending on how long you leave it. I might leave it for another while, because I think I can feel that I'll wipe away the edges if I keep pulling it for now, but there might be other places that are dry enough. It's kind of exciting, isn't it? Okay. And that's one of the things you want to do, is you want to keep yourself interested. You just, you want to keep yourself, oh, it's looking good in the camera, at least.
Already? Yes, stop there.
I mean, that wasn't the feeling I had here, but it's quite nice to see it at a small scale. Okay. All right, what was I going to do now? Yes, I feel like I want to put something in the background, because it's like I'm working hard. But first, before doing the background, I'm going to put in, so this is a mix now of lemon yellow, which looks like that, and hooker's green. And the two of them together, hopefully, will give me a kind of a spring green. When I half close my eyes, now what am I seeing? Oh, that needs to be more yellow. I'm seeing some tulip. Oh, that still isn't yellow enough, I don't think. So what I do now, after putting all that on, is I just bring it back to the shape and size that I want. And I might use the paper towel dipped into the water with some of that yellow-green on it to describe, because I'm kind of liking the shape of that. of the. It's a bit like, Joel, how you started yesterday was really inspiring with your watercolour kind of flourishes of the spring green colour. I think, you know, sometimes I'm just gonna leave it in. Sometimes it's necessary to use a bit of oil pastel or something at this point. Like, let me see. I want to get a bit more clarity somewhere, yes, in the magazine thing. So what I'm going to do is use an opaque white oil pastel in order to I think it's mostly that's annoying me. It's too early. Well, I'll do the oil pastel and let you see what I'm talking about at least. Okay, so yeah, so there's a leaf kind of going back there that I think could be described by this bit of magazine, but it needs to be thinner. And I'm finding the edge with by bringing the oil pastel over the edge of the magazine and creating more of a leaf shape there. And that's something that could also be extended beyond the the leaf shape could be extended with maybe a bit of ink. We continue finding a new edge. I like using the ink there, bringing a line in.
Is that the twig you're using?
It's actually the inside. It's supposed to be a spray, but never really worked that well. So there's a few of them there, but a twig would work. A twig would work. I got these from Lidl, acrylic inks from Lidl. And holding it vertically allows the ink to run a bit more freely.
Well, it would retain on that tubey thing more maybe than a twig. Yes. Right.
Yeah, maybe. But a twig works just as well too. You know, that bit that's stuck on my leg, I think I could use that here. Because I want something a bit brighter, you know, in the foreground. It's handy, isn't it, how things come to you. And you know what, yesterday, do you remember yesterday, Chris, we did the leaf, we kind of tore it off that piece of paper. Do you remember we tore off some leaves from the paper we were using as a palette? Now those leaves aren't actually the colour of the tulips, but I think that might be the colour that I'm looking for. And you see, I want foreground tulips that are tulip leaves that are as bright as those. So, oh gosh, brown here as well. You can imagine the state of the living room in the house. I just kind of gave up in the end, because actually it feels like a very nice thing to have as part of life, for the stuff to be around the place and just to tip in and out as you're making the lunch or something, back into the living room and do maybe a small bit of this carry on. There's something very soothing in that. Oh look, that's a nice colour there now, and it's all like Blue Peter. Here's one I made earlier. Okay. It is good, isn't it? Okay. So, I went to see a demonstration by the landscape painter James Morrison. He used to do massive skies. And he said, he died a few years ago, I think, he said that he was in the Scottish Gallery where the Victoria Crow exhibition is now. I don't know if you know, but the demonstration was there. They do an exhibition of his work. He was saying that sometimes he would look in the landscape painting and feel like he'd need something in a certain position. And then when he'd look back to the landscape, there'd be something actually there that he could pull out, you know. So it was like the intention to kind of find something, and I feel a bit like that when I found that down there. It's not the same, but you know, I feel like when you set an intention for something, actually, I don't know what it is, but that sometimes happens, that things come towards you. Right, I better use it. I better use it kind of effectively now after all that. So I think it's just that bright leaf that's coming to a point there. And And maybe in another spot as well I could put some. But I'm keeping an eye on the tone as well, because that leaf there, although it's the same colour, I don't think it's as bright. And so I'm just going to use a little bit of this for the tip of that leaf. I think it's only a little bit of that leaf that's going to have that brightness to it. And sure, I know that colour is available still for putting elsewhere if I want to. And we've got today's version as well. Today's version. And I can look even sometimes just doing a thing. Yeah, I somehow want to put that there for some reason. See if it'll make sense or not. I don't know. But it just seemed as though there's a bit of a symmetry going on that wasn't very pleasing to me, and I think that disturbs the symmetry that was coming down there. And it's funny that I ended up putting the two things there. Sure, that's a bit more central, isn't it? The sock might need to come over there. Just put a little bit of that paint on there to make it a bit more central, that one. What you did yesterday, wasn't it? When you were doing the stalks, Helen, you used your fingers to describe the petals. And we've got another pink colour too that maybe represents, that's not great, is it? I thought that might be really way lighter than it is. Okay. So looking at it again now, it feels like down here needs to be given a bit more clarity around the top of the daisies. I think it could do with being explained a little bit more clearly again. And even just using oil pastel to find some of those gaps between oil pastel or even this is a chalk pastel. Oh dear God, sometimes the chalk works really well and sometimes it doesn't. So that again is trial and error. But it's a satisfying colour, isn't it? That green. Okay. And then the extension of that tulip. Let's see, you might be thinking, what did I sign up for? Really? And actually, it's not that I think there's something about I suppose what I really love is being able to just do what I want. And that sounds very childlike, but I think we do bring our child to this kind of work. And I would love for you to be able to do what you want to do. And that's not the same as what I want, like. But I think maybe me doing what I want, maybe it gives permission or something, I'm not sure. Anyway, this is what's ending up happening. And I think if I put the tulip there onto the end of that, I suppose, for fuck's sake, I suppose the more ridiculous, oh, it needs to be thinner, doesn't it, that little, and does it really have to be all that way out? Oh dear God. It's a feat of engineering. Chris, did you say you were an architect?
Uh-huh.
That's brilliant. Structurally not very sound. Yeah, I mean there's something, eventually I could maybe just put a little bit of cardboard, but
Just to hold it.
Then that's how tulips go.
just to hold it. Yeah, that's what you, for God's sake. Yeah, anyway, just, I would say good enough for now. That's a good mantra. It's good enough for now. And eventually you might end up changing it as the painting moves on. But yeah, like there needs to be more action up here as well. Gosh, it's ghastly. Might do the, just trying to wrestle with things to make them, to kind of bring them into being somehow. A little bit of white in with that pink maybe makes a bit of a, more of a tulipy colour. And there's one there too, maybe in there. And probably, yes, what I was going to do when I turned it upside down was this. I was going to put a background colour on. I'm just going to do another 5 minutes. I'm taking a wee bit of time just now. Another 5 minutes. I thought, thought a background colour might be helpful. You know how yesterday we were doing the thing of masking off a little bit? Maybe. Okay. I'm just going to do the masking there. Yeah. Alright, let's just see what happens. If I turn it upside down, and then the ones will be going in a different direction. I was also going to wipe away a little bit more of those drips. I think they're already after drying in. It's good to explore the time limit and what you like about the runs and things. So the background colour then, although it's not cerulean blue back there, I'm feeling like putting some cerulean blue in here, I think. This is cerulean blue. Now, that's a quite bright colour, so I would use it maybe watered down. You could even see what it might look like by putting the cerulean blue here. I don't want it to be that bright at all now, but just something that's going to be different from the setup. If I didn't have the green on the thing, it would be very different from the setup. The green kind of mixed in with it there, but I think it's a nice coloured. You know, I think it works with the pink, that blue. And can just indicate it here as well. And maybe when I turn it back up, I could do something like the, there's a blue ink here that's a little bit like it. These inks are quite nice to work with. I'll take this off because that's a bit distracting to me. Sealing down the way. Okay, yeah, so the blue, I might end up using a little bit of that around the stock too. There's a bit of blue injected in somewhere. And maybe some dark green. So just two more minutes I'm giving myself if anyone wants to time me. That would be nice. But it doesn't matter, I'll remember, I think. Just a bit of the dark green chalk pastel seems like it would work in places too. Just to define the edges a little bit for me. And you can use all of these chalks, of course. There'll be other colours as you work through it. It might be nice to find a lighter colour, and that's a very crude thing there. But maybe painting, so doing some white up to the edge. Just use the white paint, it's the easiest thing. I could maybe create a thinner, more fine stem by painting either side of that there to give back a feeling of the delicately arcing tulip. It makes it a little bit more tulip-like. But I'm in a bit of a panic to make some success happen here, that's why. But I'd say that's my 2 minutes up, so I'm going to have to leave it. Not really successful. But yeah, I guess it's to just kind of put I'm not really sure. I think the thing that I want to pass on, very coherent video, the thing I want to pass on is the layering possible and the continual adjustment of the edges. So you'll not be going at speed like me because I'm wanting to kind of do things quickly there and everything. You might build in pauses a lot more in between and decide, okay, so I want to adjust that edge. What can I do to adjust that edge? What's the most efficient way of creating a clean petal or stem there? And it might be different for you, you know. What's the most efficient way of putting light on top of something else and of getting a big expanse done in a short space of time? There's a roller there as well, you know, or the rags. Try to vary the implements you use to put the colour on. And think outside the box where you can. You know, so err on the side of taking a risk, I suppose. Make chance essential.
Okay.
Huh?
John Cage.
I think that was Paul Klee, was it? Make chance essential.
John Cage.
No, was it? Ah, that's a new one for me. And the other thing is exactitude is not truth, from Matisse. I love that as well. Like exactitude is not truth. So you can just bring yourself to the table, see what your particular response is to what's here in front of you, and then use what you'll gather your stuff around you, make it easy accessible, and steady yourself, plant your feet firmly on the ground, and then seek to find what it is you want to explain and get the material that will do it for you, and then look again at what you want to explain and just put it on. Do you know, there's something about gathering the stuff, getting the thing ready. It might just be a brush mark and a colour, a brush, this particular size brush, and getting the right colour by, you know, holding up the palette even to see the colour you're aiming for, and then just going for it. I think that's all the very best. And you can stick your two bits of paper together, especially you'll fit the lupin in. You'll maybe fit the lupin in over there for later. A bit more, yeah. Okay, so thanks very much for watching, and see you later.